let me just go ahead and share the link with everyone. Yep. I'm going to share YouTube. Okay, so we are live now. I sent out the YouTube link. So anyone who wants to watch in the stream can go ahead and do that. Okay. So is everybody here? Are we still waiting on Hirsch?
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start then. Hi everyone, I'm Jose Espinal, your FBLA National President. Welcome back to our second National Forum, and once again, thank you to everyone who's taking the time to connect with us. Today's National Forum will last until approximately 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and is divided into two sections. During the first half of our broadcast, you'll hear updates from each of our national officers as they relate their activities in the past month, along with announcements regarding our national programs. During the second half, we'll open the floor to a 15-minute question and answer session. You can ask us questions by logging into your Google account and using the Q&A feature on Google Hangouts. The topics can be anything from items on the new program of work to what it's like to serve as a national officer. So, without further ado, we'll begin our second National Forum with the introduction of your 2015-16 National Officer Team. Ashton, would you like to lead us off?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Ashton Rottinghouse, your National FBLA Treasurer, and I'm ready to connect, contribute, and collaborate with each of your state officer teams at the Omaha National Fall Leadership Conference during the State Officer Workshop. The National Officers have been working hard to develop this workshop and ensure you have a beneficial and exciting NFLC. I will also be presenting a workshop on Saturday afternoon of the Omaha Conference, November 7th, titled Program Sub Pop. I would love for as many people to attend as possible. You will learn vital information to make your local chapter grow and create a pop-in program of work for the year. There will also be fun icebreaker activities to take back to your own chapters. I would also like to announce the qualified and talented members of my National Treasurers Council. My Executive Treasurer is Otis John from Nebraska. My North Central Region Treasurer is Grant Arterio from Louisiana. My Mountain Plains Region Treasurer is Hudson Pierce from North Dakota. My Eastern Region Treasurer is Carmen Lau from Maryland. My Southern Region Treasurer is Emily Ritchie from Arkansas. My Western Region Treasurer is Dennis Rupert from New Hampshire. My Head of Sponsorship is Nicholas Lazar from Maryland. And my Head of Fundraising is Rohit Matthew from New York and Kyle Hugg from Kansas. The National Treasurers Council and I have been working on contacting corporate sponsors and creating a fundraising catalog that will be available for all states to utilize. This will have a vast variety of activities and fundraisers compiled from multiple states. If you or your state would like to contribute to the catalog, feel free to email me at fblatrez@fbla.org. We are accepting suggestions and ideas until December 1st, 2015. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashton. We'll have Vanessa go next.
Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Ting and I'm your FBLA National Parliamentarian. Over these past few months, I've been working on making available fundraising resources for the March of Dimes. November is Prematurity Awareness Month, so I've emailed all of the March of Dimes state directors to get the contact information for regional community directors. These individuals are more than willing to speak to your local chapter, pass out fundraising templates and cards to sell, and give any advice and tips you need to raise your most successful fundraiser. In the next few days, I will be emailing the state's community directors contact information to the applicable state officer teams. Your National Parliamentarians Council has been hard at work in promoting parliamentary procedure through resource guides and weekly tips. Check out my Facebook and Twitter for tips every Tuesday and Sunday.
Thanks, Vanessa. We'll have Hirsch next.
Hey everyone. Long time no see, but the things in the Eastern region have been going very, very well. At the beginning of this month, I had the pleasure of choosing not only my executive council, but also my state president's council, and had many state presidents from the Eastern region join me on a call, as well as my state officers council, which selected one state officer from every state in the Eastern region to join in on a call where we could share ideas, share comments, questions, and concerns about the upcoming year in the Eastern region, as well as the national organization. All of my councils have been hard at work at obtaining items for our silent auction at the NFLC, which I'm glad to report that many of my council members will be attending. In other news, Pennsylvania and Vermont have both held their conferences very recently. In fact, I just came back an hour ago from the Pennsylvania State Leadership Workshop, which was a great success. And tomorrow I will be on a flight to Vermont, where I'm very happy to say that I will be working with my home state Advantage State, to help coordinate and plan their FLC, which I'm very excited for. In other news, the NFLC in Baltimore is coming up in less than 30 days. The entire Eastern region has been very hard at work on obtaining items, and also planning for this conference in terms of many workshops. I personally have encouraged many members across the states of the Eastern region to hold their own workshops, and so far not only I, but 3 other council members of mine are planning and performing their own workshops, which is going to be very exciting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a great upcoming month in the national organization as well as the Eastern region, and yeah, that's it for me.
Thanks, Hirsch. We'll have Nick next. Nick, I'm not able to hear you. You're sure your mic is not muted? Still can't hear you, Nick. Is your mic muted? Do you have a microphone with you? Nick, if you want, we can move on. Let's go ahead and go to Alexis, and Nick will come back to you. Alexis, can you hear me? I think you're muted too. Okay, let's see. I think Nick and Alexis are figuring this out. So I'll just go on my update right now, and then I'll let you guys have a chance to figure that out. So first and foremost, I'd really like to thank all of our members for all of your outstanding work and recruitment over the past couple of months. Thanks to you, we've begun with a strong membership year, which will only strengthen FBLA's extensive network of bright and committed business students. The more students we have, the more competitive event winners, the more opportunities that we can provide to many, many students. And that's more students that we have fundraising for the March of Dimes and helping business education efforts in local chapters. So really, the more members we have, the better. And thank you so much for all of your work through recruitment. Now, I'd like to recognize a very special group of individuals who have been helping me over the past couple of weeks with all of our efforts in accomplishing the National FBLA program of work. Beginning with my communications director, Idalia Nunez from Texas, assisted by Trevor Sandage from Illinois, and Chelsea Wong from New Jersey. My legislative affairs director is Daniel Wills from New York, assisted by Carter Rinaldi from Colorado and Laura Burr from Ohio. My membership director is Spencer Halsey from Illinois, assisted by Cyril Anthony from Virginia, Rohan Bhatia from Pennsylvania, Jordan Lee from Arkansas, and Austin Chow from California. My international affairs director is Ben Kessler from Pennsylvania, assisted by Hattie Khrushchev from Wisconsin, Samantha Noor from California, Neil Patel from Missouri, and Hannah Go from California. My sponsorship director is Anna Atkuru from New Jersey, assisted by Tina Liu, also from New Jersey. And finally, my home state director is Matthew McDaniel from Georgia. These members have done a fantastic job over the past couple of weeks, helping me with some of our efforts that range from collecting items from our online auction to drafting some of the social media posts that you've seen over the past few days. So I'd really like to point out their efforts, and this is the work that you could do as a National President's Assistant. Keep in mind that these positions are open year after year, so next year these positions will be open as well, and there will be an opportunity to apply. So I highly suggest that you apply for one of these positions in the next year, and also if you have a chance to see any of these individuals or interact with them, whether that's on social media or at any FBLA conferences, please congratulate them for putting forth the effort to not only apply, but to help out throughout the year. They're going to be doing a huge part in helping us accomplish all of our objectives for this year. Now, I have a couple of important updates for you, and actually a few teasers on some of our newest projects, which I hope that you'll find interesting. Beginning with the NFLCs, we'll kick off our National Fall Leadership Conferences in Omaha on November 6th. These will be an excellent opportunity to network with fellow members and hear from captivating speakers. Now, we have a couple of new interesting tracks that I think that you'll enjoy. One thing that we've done this year is we have revised the state officer track. So there will be a couple of new additions for some of our returning members, and if you're a new state officer, you'll have a chance to check out the revised track in its entirety. So we hope that you'll enjoy that soon. We also have the FBLA Foundations track, which will cater to some of our newest underclassmen members. What we're trying to do through this program is provide information on all of the different opportunities that FBLA provides, so that members who are coming into the organization as new high school students can learn really the essential skills necessary to progress through different leadership positions, and also find out really the wealth of opportunities that FBLA has to offer, whether that's through fundraising or competitive events or simple networking with members, which we know can be very rewarding, as I think many of us have experienced through National Fall Leadership Conferences, National Leadership Conferences, and the variety of state and regional conferences that we afford our members. Now, tying in with the NFLCs, we have a new national online auction this year. More information on this will follow over social media in the coming days, but we now have a national online auction where members from across the country, wherever you might be, can bid on items that are provided by the national officer team, by some of the national staff, by our council members, and also by outside donors. So thank you to everyone who's been contributing items for that program, and I hope that you all will enjoy the auction when it is released on November 6th. So keep an eye out for that. You'll have a chance to earn some pretty interesting items, and it is not limited to attendees of the National Fall Leadership Conferences. So whichever state you're at, whichever chapter you're at, you'll have a chance to bid on some of these items and potentially win some and take them home with you. Now, we will also be starting Prematurity Awareness Month in November. So start thinking about ways that you can fundraise for the March of Dimes and help us reach our annual fundraising goal of $500,000. Now, of course, that seems like a large quantity, and it is. And we've been very lucky that our members have helped us raise such an incredible amount of money in past years for the March of Dimes. But really, any contribution is a step towards helping premature babies, and it's also a contribution that will help the March of Dimes and the variety of illnesses that they help provide awareness for and also attempt to treat and find preventative care for. So any contribution that you can find from your local chapter will help. So start brainstorming now. Find some ways that your local chapter can get involved, whether that's selling some donuts at your local high school chapter, whether that's doing a raffle. Anything that you can do to help contribute is helpful and appreciated. Finally, I'd like to share information about our Connect 10 program. So we have done a fantastic job over the past couple of months with recruitment, and you all are really exceeding all expectations with recruitment, so please keep it up. Now, if you continue on with the Connect 10 program for those chapters that have reached that point, or for chapters who have not yet exceeded their past membership by 10 members or more from the last year's number, I encourage you to continue recruiting and continue to find members to come into your chapter, new members who will help grow and expand your efforts and also help you through fundraising and also to be teammates in competitive events and in all the different programs that we offer. So please continue there, and you've done a fantastic job so far. I did mention that I had a couple of sneak previews for you. Now, one project that the national officers and I have been working on recently is a new national news website for FBLA where we can have a constant stream of information. It is essentially tomorrow's business leader online. So while I do not have the full site to release to you today, it will be released on November 1st for all of our members to access. I do have 2 screenshots that I'd like to share with you, and that way you can get a small preview of what the site will look for. So I'll go ahead and share my screen if I can. So if you can see this now, we have the landing screen for the site. You can't see much at the moment, but like I said, it is a teaser. So stay tuned for that. November 1st is when we'll release this full site, and we'll continue to flesh out new features and add information as the months progress. Now, our intent with this site is to have constant information that will help you in your fundraising efforts, that will supplement your activities in competitive events, and that will also provide inspiring media that will show you where our FBLA members have gone in the past and where opportunities lie for you through college, careers, and more in the future. I'll share one more screen here. This is taken from our news page. So as I mentioned, one of the big objectives of this new site is to share constant news from FBLA. Now, this will be on different programs that we're promoting throughout the year. In this case, you're seeing a snapshot of an article for the NFLCs, but it can be on any subject throughout the year. So expect information on competitive events, expect information on the BAA program, and expect also opportunities for you to submit your own chapter information so that you can be recognized and so that all of FBLA can hear about your local chapter's efforts. So that concludes my update for you. Like I said, we have some great new programs that we're working on right now, and I encourage all of you who are attending the NFLCs to get the most out of the tracks that we're providing this year. We have some excellent new opportunities, and especially take a look at the new national online auction. Proceeds will benefit the competitive events program and will help add new opportunities for competitive events and participation in years to come. Nick, have you had a chance to figure out the mic issues?
I don't know.
Vanessa, is that coming through your side? Is that coming through your side?
Okay. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
All right, Alexis, did you get yours figured out?
I think she was planning on calling me, but I'm not sure why it's making that sound.
Okay, okay. All right, what we can do then is, since we did start a little bit late, I apologize for that, we'll go ahead and move into Q&A, and if anyone has any questions that's viewing now on Google Hangouts, we can move into those. If you also have any questions but you're not logged into Google Hangouts, if you're watching on YouTube, you can go ahead and tweet at me on Twitter, and the handle is @FBLA President. So if you'd like to tweet at me or at any of the other national officers while we're on here now and ask a question, please do so, and we'll get back to you with that question. So we'll give a few minutes for questions to come in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Let me see if I can go ahead and open up Q&A here on Google Hangouts. So if you have any questions, like I said, please go ahead and post them here. Or if you have questions but aren't logged into Google Hangouts or you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and tweet those questions at us and we'll get back to you. As we wait, Alexis and Nick, if you are able to figure out the mic problems, then go ahead and give your updates. If not, if you want to send those on our group message and you want me to relay some of that information, we can do that too. All right, I'm getting some updates from Alexis here, so I'll go ahead and read those off while we wait for questions. So Alexis will be attending the Baltimore NFLC and will be hosting a workshop on November 20th titled FBLA Connection with Leadership. Now, she would also like to introduce her council members: Austin Knight from Alabama, Jacob Beckley from Kentucky, Brittany Shirley from Kentucky, Julie Francis West from Virginia, Hannah Boozman from Florida, and Ashana Jane from North Carolina. We'll wait for questions here. Like I said, if you're viewing on Google Hangouts, you should be able to access the Q&A feature, which is live now. You should be able to submit questions, and if you have any questions but you're watching on YouTube or on another outlet, you can submit those questions via Twitter. Sure, so I've got an update here from Nick again while we wait. So the North Central region has been buzzing with activity in the past few months. Iowa took first place in the National Super Sweeps, and Missouri has over 9,000 members registered already. Ohio had their FLC, and Wisconsin had their leadership labs. Indiana has started their state officer cabinets, and the North Central Region Board has also been working hard on developing a regional program of work. Thank you, Nick, for your update. Thank you, Alexis, too. And again, I apologize for mic issues here. Sometimes these are technical difficulties that you can't anticipate. Hirsch and Vanessa, is there anything additional that you all want to mention while we wait?
Sure, I'm sure I could, Vanessa, if you weren't going to share anything, I could elaborate a little bit on the council work that's been going on in the last month or so. As I mentioned before, in the previous couple of years, the Eastern Region only had one council, which was the Executive Council. taking a little bit of inspiration from Ian Mullaney, who was our Western Region VP last year, who founded one of the first state presidents' councils and used them to a pretty good degree of success. I decided to start the Eastern Region's very own President's Council, which had their first meeting on October 13th. It was a great success. I really loved seeing the cross-communication of not only data about their states, but ideas that they're pursuing. We spent a great majority of time discussing not what has happened in the past, but new ideas that are being pursued this year, as well as things they'd like to see change, not only about the Eastern region, but the national organization. They gave a lot of great pointers, which I had the privilege of sharing with our membership director, Mrs. Smothers, and I hope to see a lot of those changes enacted, maybe if not this year, then hopefully in the coming future. We had a very similar conversation with state officers, a state officers council, which met on October 15th. This was with one state officer from every single state in the Eastern region. We again talked about a lot of different ideas, new concerns, as well as changes that they'd like to see implemented into FBLA, and to get that dual perspective from both a state president and a state officer from every state was valuable, to say the least. I learned a great deal, and I just wanted to thank all those council members. I think there were over 16 that met in the course of 3 days in 3 different meetings. So I wanted to thank all of you. That was a very productive meeting, and I'm looking forward to what the Eastern region can come up with in the next month.
And I can give a little more inside scoop of what the National Parliamentarians Council has been working on. One of our biggest initiatives is condensing Robert's Rules of Order and taking the most important sections and writing a 1 or 2 page summary. So my communications director, Abby Sheen, has been responsible for collecting all the state presidents or parliamentarians' email, and I plan to send out those resource guides to every president or parliamentarian just to get further their knowledge of parliamentary procedure.
That's excellent. I think we've got a question here, so we'll go ahead and get to this one. So Jacob Beckley asks, what will the state officer tracks be like this year? Anything new? So we do have a couple of new additions. Does someone other than me, since I know I've been talking for a while, does someone else want to cover this one who's been working with the state officer track? I know Alexis wants to talk. So I know, yeah, I can go ahead and elaborate on this one. I know that one big change that we have this year is that we've added a social media portion to the state officer track as well. We're really trying to talk about the benefits of using social media to communicate ideas throughout the state. And it's also something that applies to local chapters as well. So actually a project that Alexis and I are going to be working on throughout this year is creating a social media column for the TBL, and that's sort of ties into an objective that we've had for this year, is helping local chapters and state chapters out with their with their ability to connect with members through social media. So a couple of new additions that we've been working on as well. I know that our PBL secretary has actually taken the lead on a lot of the new additions to the state officer track this year. But really its focus this year is to make it much more interactive than it's been in years past. We're really focusing on allowing state officers time to interact with each other and also to share some of the great ideas that they have in different states. So that's something that we readily recognize, that especially from my own personal experiences going to IFL and interacting with other state officers there. There's so much that other state officers do in other states that is absolutely fantastic, but the only opportunities, only real opportunities that we have to learn about those projects is when we interact with them directly. Whether that is, as Hirsch has been doing recently, calling up state officers, state presidents, and talking to them, or whether that's networking with them at a conference. So I think you'll find that to be incredibly helpful to have some extra time to network with state officers, to brainstorm ideas that can be beneficial to your own state, and to also, if you have great things that you do as a state officer team in your own state, to share those with other state officers. So that's a way that we really get better as an organization as a whole, is by sharing what we do well in our individual states. So I think it's a great asset that we have, and it's fantastic that this year our state officers are going to have greater opportunities to interact with one another and have more interactive workshops throughout the state officer track.
Sure, and Jose, if we have some time to talk about a different another change,
yeah,
I will be working with PBL Eastern Region Vice President Dana McAllister on my segment of the state officer track. And in terms of changes, our segment is called Communication is Key, which is a hallmark of the state officer track. That's been a portion of the state officer track for quite a while. This year we're actually hoping to focus on one of the themes of that workshop, which is how to productively communicate with your officers. This has been a pretty hot topic around the nation for the last couple of years, which is not only manipulating social media, but reassessing the way we use email blasts, the way we use text blasts, the way we communicate with our council members, our officers, our local members within our regions of jurisdiction, within the national organization, and how to do that more productively. I know my region is taking a deep, hard look into how to condense those emails, how to condense everything to just the most important information, and how to get it out as quickly and as widely as possible. So that is definitely something that's going to be receiving more emphasis in our segment, at least, which is the productive communication and not just communication is key in general.
Excellent. That's great, Hirsch. So we'll wait here for a few more minutes if any other questions come in. If anyone has any other questions, you can post them here. If you're joining us now, you can post questions if you're watching via Google Hangouts using the question and answer feature. And if you're viewing on YouTube, you can just ask your questions directly by tagging us on Twitter. If we don't have any new questions at this time, I think we can go ahead and wrap up here. But if there are any further questions that you might have, if you are viewing this later on after this is closed and is not live anymore, you can still feel free to ask questions by emailing any of us or also by contacting us through social media. So to recap just a couple of the points coming up soon. Oh, yep. We have actually one more question, so we'll take this one before we close up. Okay, well, more of a comment than a question here. So we've got Savannah Kelly. Thank you, Savannah. So actually, we will still have the same FBLA National website. So all the resources that you've been accessing up till this point will still be accessible on our national website, but this will be supplementary. So this is another site that you can go to, and you can catch up on news, and you can access some resources and some of our programs that before were either found on social media or were absent from our national website. So really, it's an attempt to condense a lot of our different programs. For example, the National FBLA blog will now be condensed into the national news site. Other programs like Launchpad will find a new home on this site. We'll have resources for competitive events. A new program that you'll be seeing on that site soon is the Advisor Video Program, otherwise known at the moment as FBLA's Atlas, which is a set of online courses that we will have offered soon that will cover a variety of competitive events. This year we're only starting with 5 events as a pilot program, but in years to come we will be expanding that since we should be able to prove its effectiveness this year. So that program will attempt to fill a gap in schools where, for example, certain business classes aren't offered that correspond to certain competitive events. So let's say, for example, that you have wanted to compete in cybersecurity, but you don't have a class at your school that offers content and teaches content on cybersecurity. You'll have an opportunity to view videos that are created by some excellent advisors who specialize in some of those content areas, and you'll be able to learn the content there directly. So instead of just practicing from practice tests and studying from that, you'll actually be able to learn the content and find out more about areas that you might be very passionate about, but you haven't had the opportunity in the past to learn about it in school. So really what that program is all about, and again, it ties into what our objective is for this year and really FBLA's objectives. It is to make sure that we are supplementing business curriculum as much as we can. So just a couple of things to look forward to with the new site. So if we have no further questions now, I think we can go ahead and close. So thank you all for watching again, and also thank you all all of our members who have been participating in recruitment efforts throughout the country. You've been doing an outstanding job, and as I previously mentioned, we're off to a very strong start because of you. So thank you again for all that you're doing. As this month begins, start thinking about prematurity awareness and how you may be able to help out with the March of Dimes. And also keep an eye out for the new national news site for the online auction, which will bidding will open on November 6th. So keep an eye out for that and be ready to start finding some interesting items that you might want to place some bids on and potentially win. So keep an eye out for these programs soon. Continue what you're doing. You're doing an excellent job. And I look forward to connecting with you at our next national forum. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for your questions.